Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, I'm going to discuss about the job searching strategy. And this is not going to be a single video, it is going to be a series of video. And I'm also going to start a community which can help you guys search a specific job in your niche and as per your requirement and as per your alignment. So without further ado, let's just move towards the so this being done, let me just okay. So with instead of discussing and diving deep into the strategy, first we need to identify what a job is and what a career is. So unless and until we know the very basics of these things, we will not be effectively identify where we have to head towards and what are our goal. So job, what is a job? Basically, job is a specific position of employment where you perform defined task in exchange of compensation. So you can see there are like two highlighted things. One is a defined task, like you are a software engineer, you are a front-end engineer, you are an accountant or whatsoever. But what are you doing? You are doing it in exchange for compensation. The reason to do this job is to get yourself a salary or get yourself some pay that can help you pay your bills on a recurring basis, on a monthly basis. It could be a short term or a role, or it could be role focused, and it's basically being tied with the immediate income generation. So example, over here you can see software development at a company, but it might be not very well aligned with your passion, your goals, your career trajectory. It could be aligned with that, but it might not be, because if you need some like compensation, or you need to generate the income, you need to get a job irrespective of the fact how you like it or how much you don't like it. It's totally up to certain factors which we are going to discuss in the like upcoming slides. So hopefully this is something very brief, we everyone know, but this is just to highlight what are the prime reason, and when we will be discussing a career, how it's different from a job. So let's just move to the next. And what a career is. A career is the long-term progression of your professional life, and it encompasses multiple roles, multiple jobs, skills, achievements, and experience over time. It reflects your growth, direction, and or like overarching professional goals. Why it's different from a job? A job is tied to a like a specific company or a specific role, but the career can span multiple jobs. You might have done a job as a junior engineer in one company. You might rose up to a senior engineer on another company. Then you might move to a project manager role or a architect role. It might span over multiple companies, and this is more of a lifelong journey in software engineering, and it helps you evolve into your roles. So at times you plan your career where you need to head from like 5 years ahead of time, 10 years ahead of time, and what you want to achieve in your life. So this is the major difference. So let's just quickly see the difference between two. Like as we have just gone through the definition, so I'll be skipping that part. The time horizon of a job. A job can be a short to medium term. Like you might be doing a job for certain months, or you might be doing it for a year or two. But career itself is a long term, because you have planned it, and you might be seeking different jobs and you are progressing. Like if you are a software engineer and you want to eventually become a like software architect, so this is a career progression. It depends upon the like time horizon, so it's basically a long term horizon. Then comes the focus. Job, you have like a specific tasks and responsibilities for a position, and career itself like overall professional development and goals. So it might not be well aligned with the company at hand. Let's say if you want to learn any specific tool, let's say Azure, and the job you are working doesn't allow or doesn't have that Azure requirement, so or you might be doing it on the AWS or something else. I'm trying to be more specific to the software the field, but it generally applies to every other fields as well. So don't mind that if there is something very specific to software field. So what does actually happens, like you have your own goals, but your current job might not be well aligned with that career or development goals. The purpose of a job is to get immediate employment need and immediate funds or earn money to fulfill your needs. But career can be basically it's built on expertise and your reputation and your advancement of the field. Not from the day one you are the same person which you might achieve over a span of years or decades. And scope, you can see a job have a narrow scope, one role at a time, more aligned with the task at hand, might be day-to-day task, might be weekly or monthly milestones or a quarterly. But the scope of the career is like multiple roles and experience over time, which help you become a new personality. And then progression in a job is not necessarily progressive. If you are stuck in a day-to-day routine, like you are doing the same routine in your job, so you will be getting the paycheck, but you won't be like explicitly progressing. Whereas a career involves growth and advancement where you move forward. Then comes the stability. Basically, a job at times people usually think like job is stable, but in recent days you might have seen that big companies the global companies have laid off so many people in their workforce just to shift their focus. So this can change frequently despite there is a illusion that any job can be stable, but it all subject to the alignment of the business. If you are not beneficial or not well aligned with the business value of the company, so you are at risk. Whereas a career itself is more stable. It's a bit hard, but even if the job changes, let's say if you are a good individual contributor, contributing software engineer, architect, so if a company like shifts their direction, so you can switch the job and immediately get that. But it's subject to how you have established your personal brand in a market. So this way you can get a specific job. Then comes a like example, a data entry operator doing a same job every day, but obviously not much progressive in a sense. And the career in a sense, you can see you started with a junior analyst, then a senior analyst, and become eventually become a data scientist. So that's a career progression. Now we come to the like pros and cons of this. So let me just try. Okay. So with this pros and cons, just a minute. Okay. So you can see the job do have some pros and do have some cons. Primary focus, as we have discussed, like a job, immediate task and income. Income is the prime source for which a person preferred to do a job. And okay. And then repeated roles, but the job could have the repeated role which we have discussed without any strategic growth, like you are not progressing. So this is the primary focus of a long-term job usually becomes a repeated role and without a strategic growth. But in a career, basically, a skill direction and a foundational building are short-term. But in a long-term, professional growth and mastery comes with that. Like if you have worked as software engineer, a specific .NET software engineer or a MERN-based software engineer, so you will eventually grow in a master on that. Then comes the pros for job. The main reason, a quick income, and you do not get financially uh, broke, or you get some recurring income. So this way, it's the most the most prime pros of a job. And the second thing is it's easy to enter and exit. Like you can uh, take a job and there are certain period or notice period, so you can exit within that time frame, let's say 1 month or 2 month. So you can exit that way. Even the company can help you like exit in the same type notice period. What actually comes, whenever you start a job, you immediately get some experience and the flexibility is there. You do have certain leaves, or you have some casual leaves and this and that. So this type of flexibility comes with that. But the long term, you can see it's useful for short term survival, uh, and can provide stability if steady job. Let's say if you have a steady job, in parallel you can pursue your passion and even develop your career. The cons of a career is like short term, like clear growth direction. Basically, you get a clear growth direction. Skill are getting accumulated because you have a well-defined target. Then comes a early career identity. Let's say you have tried different things. You want to become a UI engine first. You tried, you didn't like that. You moved to a backend thing. You didn't like that. You might move to a data science field. And if machine learning and AI as they are evolving right now, you can switch to those. So if you have early identified your career, so you can progress in that. So with the coming time, better future opportunities will be coming to you. Then comes like what is the major benefit of career in a long term. Like it's, if you see like a specialist, I'm going to relate a different example over here. You might have seen that doctors do charge very minimal when they are new. But if a doctor become well renowned and specialized, you might see that you would be paying tens of thousands for their fees, and not just thousands. But in case he is a well renowned, you it might take you weeks or months to get an appointment from a well renowned doctor. So this, how come he came that way? It's just because he have chosen a specific career, specialize in that career, and keep practicing and keep improvising their skills. And now he have a high earning potential over there. Then coming like leadership roles, people can pivot to that. A stamp reputation in a sense, if you are contributing to open source communities like GitHub, or have your own portfolio over a time. So it shows a strong reputation, compounded skills are advantages over there, and career stability is there because you are not bound to a job. In case if your job is gone and you are having a mastery of those skills, so it will help you progress to that. Now comes the cons. For a job, there is a limited growth. To an extent you can grow, but it could have a direction and it could not have a direction. uh, Someone might argue that we do have direction in our jobs, but these directions are not very well aligned with your career. These directions are from the company with whom you are working, the business with whom you are working. These directions are being set by those companies and the management of those companies. A skill could be like low skill in a sense. Sometime there might be managerial stuff, sometime there might be redundant stuff, and there might be some stuff that you don't want yourself to upskill in that area, but still you have to do that. Job insecurity again is a reason over there. Long term, what actually happens, a risk of stagnation. Let's say if you work for a company for a very long period in a similar role, so there is one thing that you get stagnated. Income that you is there. Weak professional branding in a sense, you are known by the company whom you represent, XYZ. So you do not have a personal identity of yours. You just try to depict and try to make yourself proud by attaching yourself to a specific company. So this eventually becomes your proud factor. You do not have something of your own to say like this, I am this or that. Now comes the career. What's the con of a career? Basically, career do have delayed rewards. Delayed reward in a sense, from day one you do not start reaping the benefits. So it takes like high effort is being required. You have to spend hours doing certain things, and you might be investing your time. So usually there is an uncertainty in early stage. You do not get the relevant job. You might have to compromise on certain things. You have to spend your time post job on weekends. It might feel slow as well. And what is the long-term cause? It requires continuous learning. If you want to upskill in a specific field, you have to continuous learning. You have to spend time. Possible burnout in a sense, like if you are following a field and new happenings are coming at a very high rate, so you have to keep yourself updated. And harder to prefer if misaligned. Let's say if you have initially identified, I want to become this engineer, and later down the road you want to switch to a different. Let's say I'm just giving an example. You switch, you identified to become a .NET engineer, and later down the road you want to become a PHP skill engineer. I am not saying that the skills are not going to get accumulated, but what actually happens, your other experience in the .NET might not be very well recognized in the PHP, Ruby or Python area. So you have to realign yourself and shift your identity to an extent. Then comes the outcome. Let me just make it a bit better. Hopefully it's, yeah, okay. So what's the outcome? Outcome of short term for a job is like money for time. This is the main thing. And job long term focus is like survival or a focus stability. Survival in a sense, you keep paying your bills and you are having a like presumption or assumption that you are stable in a sense because your monthly day-to-day routine is moving. So it looks like that you are stable in a sense. In a career, basically, what are the outcome? Foundation for a strong success, because you are doing what you are actually liking. And if you think you are not liking that, you can easily change or pivot to something else. And what's the long-term success? It's the basically influence and the financial growth, because a specialized person always get much better reward from a specific job person. Now comes the actual part. Like, let me just open this. I think you might be able to see it now. Okay, so now comes the points which I'm going to discuss, like how you can blend your job and a skill building mode. So the first mode is something you take a job primarily for like income, but deliberately extract learning from it. What's your focus? Usually, this is the approach which people prefer to do. What they do, they get a job and they try building and extracting learning experience from them. So what's the cons? Basically, stable income. You are getting a paycheck monthly, then you steadily learning what's being done over there. But what's the cons over here? You depend on, it's totally depend on your discipline. In this mode, if you are not very well disciplined and you do not follow your passion, or if you do not spend time learning new things and which is very well aligned with your career, you will get stagnated. Pros for this approach is that like it's a low pressure compared to full career planning, because you are getting the paycheck. You have no like problem in that part. The cause of this is like company may not support growth. Company might not be well aligned with your career objectives. Then good for transitioning phases. Let's say if you're transitioning from one phase to another, it would be helpful. But progress can feel slow because if you haven't very well aligned, so it might not move in a very better manner. Then again, it helps stagnation of pure job mindset. So if you are having this approach, at least you will be moving forward to an extent. So moving to the next thing, like then comes a career experimentation mode. You are exploring in this phase. You intentionally try different roles, technologies before committing to a long-term direction. What people usually do, they become, let's say, let me give you an example. They become a UI engineer, or rather than UI engineer, I would say UI designer, UI UX designer. Then they see they need to learn some specific front end languages as well, or JavaScript or some other. So they switch role to a front end engineer. They do learn Angular and this and that, and then later down the road they might think that we need to learn backend as well, and eventually turn into a full stack mode. So this is one way. This is basically a career progression. But if let's say you want to see I want to try design first. If you feel that designing is not your cup of like tea, so you switch to a backend thing, then you might move to a Salesforce thing or might switch to another. So these are the experimentation modes. Basically, it's reduce the risk of wrong career choice because you are trying it for a very little time. Cons is that it's less stable because you are still not following a path. You are just randomly looking at certain things, but still getting a feeler and a taste of what those skill and careers are. Then comes a build a broad skill exposure. You get to know how different roles work and you can easily relate those. But the con is that you feel this directionless because you are certain time you are not time if not time boxed, you might feel you are going in this direction and then going in another direction. So and then comes a pro. It help you discover your interest or strength. Like sometime a person usually do not know what is his passion, what is his strength, and what he is good at, because unless and until you experiment and see to that, you might not be able to read it relate if it's well suited for you or not. So this is the case. And cons is this: if you switch from one role to a entirely different role, you might have to compromise on your paycheck, or it might be like a hit or pay cut on that part as well. Then comes a hybrid stability plus growth model. So what actually happens? You maintain a stable job while actively building long-term career asset, skills, side projects, certification, portfolio. So you can see like financial stability is there, and I'm not going to specifically call out pros and cons. Try to skip this fast to make it more relevant and do not make it a boring session. So then comes the required time management discipline. If you do not manage the time, you might not be reaching where you want to do. Cons is that it's a control risk because income is steady. Then cons is the risk of burnout if overloaded. Then comes the again ideal for experienced professional, and again it's depend on the consistency, so works very well in software engineering. Then comes the career first mode. So these are the people like you prioritize long-term career over short-term job comfortable. Let's say if you are working as a software engineer .NET base and you want to progress as a .NET developer, but your company changes the direction and now they do not want to work with .NET. So either you have been left with two choices: either pivot yourself to that what the company is looking for, or get a new job which is well aligned with what you are pursuing. So in this type of career first mode, people prefer to move to other companies where the same thing is happening. So what's the pros over here? Like fast career acceleration because you keep on building on a scale on a similar direction. The con is like short-term instability possible because you might have to switch the job, you might have to switch the company. So that could be difficult. Then comes the cons, pros again, like high long-term reward, which we can see okay, in the careers. And the cons is like it requires strong patience and disciplines because in this you might be facing very ups and downs. So if you are not very well planned or you are not mentally prepared, you might feel a pressure in a sense. And you can see what it helps, like it helps you bring strong expertise and positioning, and it's not always comfortable early on, like because you are in a way you have to spend much more time and you might feel initially uncomfortable. So this is one thing. Then comes which mental model you are. Like you need to identify which model you have. Like either you have a job mindset, what do I do to earn today, and the second is a career mindset, where do I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So this is up to you, how you can change your mental model. And again, and the third one is like in between modes. How do I earn while I grow strategically? This is the most or well suited, and usually people prefer to do that. So I'll be keeping this video till over here. And if you like this video or if you feel there is something useful, which you have learned from this video. So feel free to subscribe and make sure that you share a comment or let me know if it's well aligned with what you are looking for. I'll in a subsequent series of video, I'll be discussing further about what are the tips and tricks to get specific jobs, how well you can align your career, what sort of mistakes I myself have done in my career and while pursuing certain jobs. So these are the tips and tricks which I'm going to share with you. So if you want to stay aligned and you want to grow your career, so keep like watching my videos. Feel free to subscribe the channel and like this video. And one more thing, I am going to share a link in the video description for our Discord community where I'll be posting the tips and the tricks as well as the strategies to build a community that can actually help each other to find relevant jobs and help the people pursuing their career. Thanks for watching. Uh, Hope you enjoyed this video.